In our Missing series this week, we are focusing our attention on a teen from Colorado named Nathaniel Holmes. He left school in the middle of the day, borrowed a stranger's phone to call his mom, and has not been seen since. That was 5 years ago in 2017.
The Vanishing of Nathaniel Holmes, a teenager who walked into school one cold December morning and never came back. No phone, no money, no belongings, just silence. He left behind everything that made up his world, his passport, his iPad, even his ID. And yet, he disappeared as if the earth swallowed him whole. In the days before, he was seen laughing with friends, playing video games, and talking about the future. But on December 19th, 2017, something changed. He walked out of Hidden Lake High School, borrowed a stranger's phone, and left a chilling voicemail. More than 5 years later, that message is all his mother has left. This is not just a case file. It's the story of a boy who lived, who searched for belonging, and who became one of Colorado's most haunting mysteries. Nathaniel James William Holmes was born in the year 2000 in Westminster, Colorado. From the outside looking in, he was every bit the quiet, ordinary teenager you'd expect to see in suburban America. He wasn't the type to command attention in a crowded room or to force his presence into conversations. Instead, Nathaniel was the boy you noticed on the edges. Shy, soft-spoken, thoughtful. But ordinary doesn't mean unremarkable. Nathaniel had passions that made him stand out in unexpected ways. One of those passions was the bagpipes, a tradition he shared with his father. While other teenagers might have picked up guitars or played basketball after school, Nathaniel preferred the haunting, melodic sound of an instrument that carried centuries of history. It was in those quiet moments with his father, the music rising and falling in harmony, that he seemed most at peace. He loved the outdoors as well. Fishing trips at the crack of dawn, the sharp smell of earth and water mixing in the cool Colorado air. Hunting excursions where patience mattered more than skill, where the long silences taught him how to listen, to nature, to himself, to the world around him. These weren't just hobbies, they were connections to something deeper, something grounding. But when he wasn't outside or practicing bagpipes, Nathaniel retreated into another world: video games. Like so many teens of his generation, gaming was both a pastime and an escape. It allowed him to step into stories larger than life, adventures that gave him control in a world where real life often felt confusing and unpredictable. Nathaniel's home life changed when his parents divorced, but unlike many fractured families, his story didn't spiral into bitterness. He split his time between his mother and his father, maintaining strong ties to both households. It wasn't perfect, no divorce ever is, but his parents loved him, and he loved them back. He was never truly alone, never without someone to lean on. And yet, like so many teenagers, Nathaniel was quietly carrying burdens. The challenges of adolescence, shifting schools, building and losing friendships, trying to find direction in a world that seemed to demand answers he didn't yet have. In late 2017, he enrolled at Hidden Lake High School, an alternative program designed to give students extra support. It was smaller, more personal, the kind of place where teachers worked closely with kids who needed a different approach. Hidden Lake was supposed to be a fresh start. For Nathaniel, it was a chance to find his footing, to reestablish balance. On paper, his life looked stable. He had parents who cared deeply, hobbies that gave him joy, and a school willing to help him succeed. But beneath that surface calm, something unseen was brewing. His quietness, once a comfort, may have masked struggles he never fully shared. And in the winter of 2017, those struggles would come to light in ways no one could have predicted. December 18th, 2017, the day before Nathaniel vanished. It started like any other, but by the time he came home that evening, something was noticeably off. His father, who knew his son's patterns and moods, immediately sensed it. Nathaniel was sluggish, distant, like the sharpness in his eyes had dulled. Concerned, his father pressed gently for answers, and the truth came out. Nathaniel had taken a Xanax from a friend. For a teenager under pressure, experimenting with pills might have seemed like a way to escape, even for a moment. But the effect was undeniable. It left him drained, not himself. His father, alarmed, made a decision. That night, Nathaniel would stay with his mother. It wasn't punishment, it was protection. His father hoped the change of setting might give him space, care, and safety. That small decision would be the last time Nathaniel spent the night at his father's home. The next morning, December 19th, carried the weight of routine. Nathaniel's mother got him ready for school. From the outside, nothing seemed unusual. He was quiet, yes, but he had been quiet before. She drove him to Hidden Lake High School, dropping him off at the entrance like she had done so many times before. Neither of them could have imagined it would be the last time she'd see her son. At the school office, Nathaniel checked in as required. His presence was recorded, proof that he arrived. But instead of heading to class, he walked out. No confrontation, no warning, no explanation, just a silent exit from the building. Minutes later, he was spotted at a nearby park. Witnesses recalled him borrowing a stranger's phone. The reason? To call his mom. What followed was one of the most unsettling details of his disappearance. Nathaniel left a voicemail. In it, he told his mother he would be getting a ride home, not with her, not with a classmate, but with one of his father's friends. Except, his father didn't have any friends waiting to pick him up that day. The voicemail wasn't just confusing, it was chilling. Who was Nathaniel talking about? Was it a slip of the tongue? A cover story? Or was he with someone he shouldn't have been with? For investigators later, this voicemail would stand out as the single most disturbing clue. A boy who seemed directionless, suddenly taking steps that didn't make sense, borrowing a stranger's phone instead of using his own, claiming he had a ride with a mystery person who, by all accounts, didn't exist. And then, silence. That call was the last confirmed contact anyone ever had with Nathaniel James William Holmes. No texts, no sightings, no messages on social media. He had simply vanished, walking away from the familiar halls of Hidden Lake into a void of unanswered questions. For his family, the hours that followed became unbearable. His mother replayed the voicemail over and over, trying to make sense of it. His father retraced possible steps, asking himself what could have led his son to leave school that morning. Every possibility felt both simple and impossible. And yet, within those last 48 hours, the foundation of the mystery had already been laid. A boy experimenting with Xanax, a protective father sending him to his mother's home, a normal drop-off at school, and then the inexplicable decision to leave. The haunting question remains: was Nathaniel running away, or was someone waiting for him? At first, his mother assumed there had been some miscommunication. Maybe Nathaniel had actually caught a ride with someone she didn't know about. Maybe he'd gone to a friend's house without asking. But as time ticked on, that fragile hope dissolved into panic. Calls to his cell phone went unanswered. Texts were left unread. Social media accounts, usually active, sat frozen. Nathaniel was gone, and no one knew where to start looking. By late afternoon, his father got the call that no parent ever wants to receive. Nathaniel didn't come home from school today. The Holmes family sprang into action. His father began retracing routes between the school and home. His mother contacted friends, teachers, anyone who might have seen him after he left campus. The voicemail Nathaniel left about catching a ride was played and replayed, dissected for hidden meaning. But it only deepened the confusion. By evening, it was clear this wasn't just a case of a teenager skipping school. Something far more serious was unfolding. The family filed a missing persons report with the Lakewood Police Department. Officers immediately began piecing together the timeline. They confirmed Nathaniel had checked into Hidden Lake High that morning, then walked out. Security footage from nearby areas was reviewed, but it offered no answers. Witnesses at the park verified his brief presence there using a borrowed phone, but after that, Nathaniel's trail went cold. The police searched the surrounding area, parks, alleyways, bus stops. Flyers with Nathaniel's picture were printed and distributed around the community. His face, smiling but slightly shy, stared back from every utility pole and storefront. But even as the search widened, something became disturbingly clear. There were no credible leads, no confirmed sightings, no unusual financial activity, no pings from his phone after he left school. It was as if Nathaniel had stepped off the map. The family clung to hope. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers joined in search efforts, canvassing neighborhoods, putting up posters and sharing his story online. But as days turned into weeks, that hope became harder to sustain. And then came the rumors. Some whispered that Nathaniel had run away, that his experimentation with drugs suggested he was spiraling and wanted to escape. Others believed something darker, that he had been lured away, tricked by someone posing as a friend of his father's. The most haunting part? Both possibilities felt believable. For Nathaniel's parents, the uncertainty was torture. His father, replaying his decision to send Nathaniel to his mother's that night, asked himself if it had been a mistake. His mother, hearing her son's final voicemail again and again, was haunted by the words, "I'll be getting a ride home." Who was that ride supposed to be? And why, after all these years, has no one ever stepped forward to answer that question? By the end of the first week, one thing was clear. Nathaniel hadn't just skipped school. He hadn't just run away. He had vanished without a trace. Think about this. If Nathaniel were your child, your brother, your friend, wouldn't you want the world to keep his story alive? Don't scroll past. Hit subscribe so more people hear Nathaniel's story. Because the moment we stop talking about him, that's the moment he's truly forgotten. When a teenager disappears, the first question investigators ask is simple. Did they leave willingly? In Nathaniel's case, that was the earliest theory. Police initially leaned toward the idea that he had run away. After all, he was 17, on the edge of adulthood, and like many teens, he was struggling with direction and experimenting with risky behaviors. Just a day before vanishing, he'd taken Xanax from a friend, something his father had noticed right away.
So maybe Nathaniel wanted to escape. School pressures, family expectations, or even just the boredom of teenage life. But if that was true, why did he leave without essentials? No money, no phone, no ID. Not even the basic belongings most runaways take when planning a new life. It didn't add up. The second theory was more chilling: abduction. Nathaniel's final voicemail to his mom raised red flags. He said he'd be getting a ride home with one of his dad's friends. The problem, neither his father nor anyone else in the family knew of such a plan. Had someone impersonated a family friend to lure Nathaniel away? If so, who? And why? This led to speculation that he might have trusted the wrong person, someone who knew enough about his life to manipulate him into leaving school willingly. Then there was the third possibility, an accident. Perhaps Nathaniel left school, wandered into a dangerous situation, and never made it out. Drugs and alcohol were considered, especially since Xanax had played a role the night before. But searches of nearby parks, rivers, and wooded areas turned up nothing. Each theory carried weight, but none answered the hardest question: where was Nathaniel? Over the years, online communities dissected the case. Some theorized he had fallen victim to human trafficking, given his sudden disappearance without a trace. Others speculated he might have started a new life somewhere far away. But without digital footprints, no banking, no social media activity, those theories felt increasingly unlikely. And so the Holmes family was left in limbo, trapped between hope and despair. His mother admitted she often replayed the last morning in her head, dropping Nathaniel off at school, expecting to see him later that day. His father, remembering their bond over hunting and playing the bagpipes, refused to believe Nathaniel would willingly cut all ties. Theories provided something to cling to, but they weren't answers. And in cases like Nathaniel's, answers are the only thing that can bring peace. Right now, you have the choice to keep Nathaniel's story alive. Thousands of people disappear each year, but only the cases that are remembered stand a chance of being solved. If you don't hit subscribe, if you don't share his story, how will anyone ever know to look for him? It has now been years since December 19th, 2017, the day Nathaniel James William Holmes walked out of Hidden Lake High School and vanished into thin air. For his family, every day since then has been a battle between hope and heartbreak. His father still imagines the sound of Nathaniel's bagpipes echoing through the house, the moments they spent fishing at dawn or laughing over video games. His mother holds on to the memory of his soft-spoken nature and the smile that lit up her home. But those memories are bittersweet, because alongside them sits an unanswered question that haunts every waking moment. Where is Nathaniel? The police have never closed the case. Investigators still classify Nathaniel as a missing person. Tips have trickled in over the years, but none have led to him. Each potential lead raises hope, only to leave the family crushed when it collapses under scrutiny. For the Holmes family, the hardest part isn't just the not knowing, it's the silence. Nathaniel didn't vanish into another identity. He didn't leave behind evidence of travel or contact. He simply disappeared, as if the world swallowed him whole. Communities in Colorado continue to remember him. Each anniversary of his disappearance, posts resurface online, urging people not to forget. His name appears on missing persons databases, his face frozen in time at 17 years old. But time moves differently for families of the missing. While the rest of the world ages forward, they remain tethered to the last day they saw their loved one. For Nathaniel's parents, every birthday that passes without him is a reminder of milestones stolen away. Graduations, first jobs, new experiences that will never be shared.
What happened that morning in Westminster? Did Nathaniel trust the wrong person? Did a hidden struggle push him to disappear? Or was he taken, his voice silenced before he had the chance to call for help? These questions hang heavy, with no resolution. But one truth remains: Nathaniel deserves to be remembered. And this is where you come in. Every person watching this video has the power to make sure Nathaniel's story doesn't fade into obscurity. By sharing, by speaking his name, by refusing to let the silence win, you keep hope alive. Because one day, a single piece of information, one memory, one witness, one overlooked clue could finally bring answers. Until then, Nathaniel's story lingers as one of Colorado's most haunting unsolved mysteries. A reminder that behind every missing poster, every news headline, there's a family waiting, hoping, praying. Nathaniel Holmes wasn't just a case file. He was a son, a brother, a friend, a shy teenager who loved his bagpipes, his family, and the simple joys of life. And somewhere out there, the truth about his disappearance is still waiting to be uncovered. Before you click away, ask yourself, what if Nathaniel were your child, your brother, your best friend? Wouldn't you want the world to keep searching? Don't just watch, be part of the fight to bring answers. Subscribe, share, and help keep Nathaniel's story alive. Because silence solves nothing, but your voice just might.